Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back there. Gen adults, teens, Ellie, like, welcome to MediEvil, and now we're getting to the graveyard.
The graveyard. You wouldn't catch me digging graves in my yard. Spoils the ambience.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. But okay, good. That was kind of weird with Dan just popping there, sagging in his crypt. But yeah, welcome back to MediEvil on the PSP. Reimagining. I'm just gonna call it the reimagining game. So, in this part, we're just gonna try to play the levels
Zarok is very close by.
as best as I can.
Cemetery Hill, which lies just beyond this graveyard.
I know. So I'm just gonna try my best to actually play the game and try my best to get through it as slightly quick as I can, or just talking about it as quickly as I can. So I did mention that I was gonna talk about Salam, or Al as I'll call him. I was thinking of a nickname and I decided to just call him Al. So Al here, the genie, is a little bit of your tutorial slash someone to talk to Dan. He mainly just like mentions stuff slash talks about things here and there. I will say he's slightly irritating, to the player at least, in certain points, but he's not too bad. I've seen worser characters that, you know, hang around the main protagonist and talk to them. Trust me, I have. Ooh. But he's not terrible. So at least there's that. Like, I really wish they couldn't use him, but eh. So basically his character can be summarized as foreign weirdo. You know, think of Rolf from Ed, Ed, and Eddie, and basically that's him as a genie inside of Dan's head. That's really all I can really bring up to, like, how exactly to theorize him as. But at least it's something? I don't know. I will say he's not the most annoying character I've ever had to deal with, again, as a companion, so at least there's that. But I think he does alright in this game. No. At least in, like, certain talking points. But I think Dan does well enough as a character, I think, in this game. You'll see why in a bit, so...
Real shiny stabby sword. Let's try it out.
By the way, most swords in the game have basically the same combos. You know, stabbing, slicing, and general just the same combos overall. Nothing really too different or extravagant, although I think that's fine. I don't think you can change anything really too different about most of the sword combos. The difference is that some swords are one-handed slash two-handed, so that way you can use shields. If you have a two-handed sword, you can't use a shield. If you have a one-handed weapon, you can use a shield with it. So at least there's that. At least there's that positive, I think. I'll try my best to read a good amount of these books here and there for attentions, or, no, not attention, for just padding slash just giving out the world a little bit. But I'm not going to read everything, at least not things that I think of that are necessary, at least. So keep that in mind. No access to Sleeping Village, gates secured with a locking spell by order of Zarok. Return to your hovels and wait thy doom. It's Fortescue. I guess they named a town after him. Okay. What? I didn't kill anything. What happened? Anyway, where was I? Fortescue, right? Oh yeah, right. This is one part of the game that I kind of don't like that I'll talk about a little bit later. Or maybe I'll talk about it now. It depends on whether or not it brings it up. I don't think I can bring it up now, so no, I won't talk about it now at least.
Welcome back to Gallowmere, Daniel. The stinking dead have risen up to dance with the lifeless living.
Is Michael Jackson with them?
These are truly strange and terrifying times, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Now get out of here. You're blocking my view.
At least in the I will give the original better credit, because at least the gargoyles didn't pretend to at least follow lip sync because their jaws just kept on coming off. And also, the original gargoyles referred to you as it, which I think denounced you or demeaned you a bit, so I think that's pretty cool. I think that helps in making you feel like Dan's not really getting as much respect as you should. Or at least it demeans you enough to make you want to prove everyone wrong, so at least there's that, right? So I guess that works. I don't know. I thought that was kind of a cool, interesting little take someone explained to me, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Here, the gargoyles just demean you in other ways. Actually, I think they demean you in more simpler ways. just by slightly poking fun of you and, you know, the like. So at least there's that. But anyway, yeah, the gargoyles here really should have had their lip sync at least match up a little bit better instead of just having the same animation loop in which it really doesn't look like as if they're doing like actual talking. I mean, it's kind of bad when the original PS1 has better lip syncing and the gargoyles were just like literally flapping their gums, their lower jaw, and that's it. But I understand, maybe it could have been a little bit too much. From what I can understand, this game was actually made in a short amount of time, actually. Like, it was literally pushed out as the PSP's launch title game, apparently. Or at least one of them. I think there were multiple launch titles for the PSP, I think. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then please tell me. But I know it's technically a launch title game, sort of, for the PSP. So it's like, even a launch title for the PSP game was a remake. Jesus. That console should have just been called the PSR for, you know, PlayStation remakes. I know there might not be a lot, but seriously, I can list off like at least 5 on my hand that I can think of remakes. This one, the Ape Escape remake I had, Mega Man X1, which was Maverick Hunters, Mega Man, you know, the original Mega Man remake, which was Mega Man Powered Up, which I will be playing in the future. Do not get me wrong, I will play that. And also Persona 1, or just Persona 1? Because it's kind of weird, because like the original game that came out for Americans wasn't really Persona 1 too much, because it was heavily changed in North America. So I guess it's just Persona 1 re-released for that. But I still count it as a technical like remake, remaster sort of thing, because it put in all the original stuff from the actual PS1 game back in. So at least there's that. So, yeah, PSP kind of had a lot of remakes and remasters in it, so, Look, I'm not saying, like, the PSP isn't a good console or a good handheld in its own right. I owned one of these things, and I played a good amount of actual original titles on the thing. So I know a thing about the whole, oh yeah, you know, what do you call it? Remastered games and games on the PSP that are actually worth it. And heck, I even defended Ape Escape on the Loose with its control scheme, even though I understand the issues with it. Especially now. It feels like as if it's a little bit redundant to have MediEvil here have 2 control schemes. You know, both sticks to control both movement. But it's a compromise that was made, so, or at least in the deadline that was sort of changed, I guess. I don't know. But at least it makes some sense. The Ape Escape remake change is a little bit weirder, but it's alright. So basically, what does it mean exactly for most of the control scheme here? Well, kind of simple. It's just a different control scheme, really. Oh yeah, anyway, the original controls for the PSP were the directional pad and this weird nipple disc thing. I've taken the nipple thing from Some Call Me Johnny, because he calls, like, the literal control stick on... Well, you know, he called it once, the control stick on PlayStation 2, 3, 4, you know, the control stick, analog stick, as a nipple, like the rubber nipple. So I'm going to call the PSP's little disc thing a disc puck, because it reminds me of a hockey puck, like in, you know, air hockey or regular hockey, and it looks like a disc. So the disc puck really is a little bit, like, cumbersome, considering that it's on the same side as the directional pads. So, you know, making that the movement option as what, and making the camera options or different types of controls close to each other was a bit of a strain on the thumb or the hands, since you had to use your finger, your index finger, and your thumb for, you know, controlling camera and movement in Ape Escape. Though thankfully I was able to remap those in the game I was able to play, so that way it was actually better. So at least there's that, right? Right? Well, kind of. Aw, man, I got hit. Doesn't look like you get hit, but apparently it does. Anyway, ignoring the PSP's weird controls, let's actually look at this. Say hello to the throwing dagger.
A club! Huh, You can light it, or hey, maybe just club stuff really hard.
Yeah, a wooden club wouldn't seem like much, but apparently it is. Anyway, real quick. Your weapons are split into two different types of weapons, ranged and melee weapons. You'd think that, you know, the arm would be in a mixed category since it is a melee weapon, but, you know, it can be used for ranged, I guess, but that's kind of what it is. So, you know, all ranged weapons that can be any form of range will be in here. So it's like, certain weapons that are a mix of both will just be in ranged, I guess. It's weird. But anyway, the throwing daggers are kind of simple. Throw them and hit targets from a distance. Although if you hold down one of the buttons, not the other button, only the strong attack, I think, you get to throw multiple daggers at enemies. Okay, I'm just double checking. Yeah, you can hold down the button for certain attacks, especially for the ranged weapons, but not all of them. Although if you hold down the strong attack for the, you know, daggers, you throw multiple ones which do more damage, I guess. I think the charge move for the regular throwing dagger is to hit harder, but I've never tested that before. I never used the throwing daggers much. I've only used it once or twice as just like a little bit of a love tap to certain bosses, just so I could, because I thought it was kind of funny. Anyway, the spiked wooden club is basically used to destroy boulders and rocks, because, you know, definitely a wooden club with spikes can do that to a large sorry, it just makes me laugh more than it really should. But yeah, spike clubs can destroy boulders.
Move it, lazy bones. We've got a round to save.
I know, be quiet. And if you stay put too long, Al starts screaming at you. That's another issue I have with him. It's like, dude, I'm trying to talk here. And I didn't stand in place for too long. Jesus. Anyway, so, you know, that's just kind of funny to me. But, and makes sense, at least. In the original, it also had that. So, at least here it makes more sense. Since the club has spikes. Although it's not really a great weapon at all. Like, it's not really effective and it doesn't really kill enemies too well. So, don't use the club in this game. At least by my standards. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the healing,
These fountains give health, but
yeah.
like goat's milk at bachelor party, they don't last forever.
Yeah, these locations in which they spew green aura heals up your health bar way faster than the original. I'll give it credit for that. It does it way faster than the original. And these are health vials too, so they'll heal you to a certain degree, depending on how much health you lose. So keep that in mind. Although, like he said, those health pools over there will only last for so long. So, you know, don't lose too much health around in this game. At least that's kind of the intentional point, because, like, it's trying to teach you don't lose too much health, because health is a commodity in this game. But you can return to this level when it has its full, you know, where it can restock its stuff. So it's a little bit of a moot point in this game. And for those of you curious as to what I mean, I think in the original game, health was kind of a bit stingy or just, or, you know, strict. But in this remake, health is a little bit more able to get to. You know, you're able to get health more. Not only at, like, regenerative health pools that you can get to as soon as you enter a level again, but at a certain other point that I'll talk about when we get there. Because, like, it's almost going to come up in a second, actually. Okay. There we go. And this is the gargoyle I was talking about in the last video. Red gargoyles are shopkeepers. So, there's that at least.
Hello, stranger. What can I sell you today? A nice bit of schmatter?
Oh, yeah, by the way, I can't do anything other than that. Like, I can't actually just, like, simply tap on him. I have to hit him with my sword in order to get him to wake up. But here it is. You can actually buy health vials and restore your health with gold that you can get, which also respawns in levels. So you can farm a bit for health if you want. Although, I guess there's the challenge. It's like, don't die or get hurt too much, that way you don't have to spend time grinding for health. So at least there's that. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good trade-off, but at least it's something. But yeah, here you can buy supplies like regenerating your... Or no. Resupplying your ammunition for, you know, ranged weapons. Or even for shields. Here, you'll get, you know, as soon as you get a shield, you'll be able to replenish that shield so that way it doesn't break fully. Granted, I never use the shield too much, but it does protect you from damage sometimes, so at least there's that. And here's another difference between the original and this game. You can actually pick up the chalice. In the original, you had to wait until the chalice was fully completed before you can grab it. But in the remake, or in this little reimagining, you can collect the chalice any time, but the challenge comes in to actually finding all the monsters and killing them, so that way you can get to the Hall of Heroes. So at least there's that. Meet the greatest warriors from history. Congratulations, you may have already won a free trip to the Hall of Heroes. To claim free admittance, simply collect souls from vanquished enemies in the beautiful golden chalice. Once the chalice is full, you can redeem your prize by visiting the Hall of Heroes. Free gift with every visit. There are many other chalices to find and collect. Don't delay, start killing today! You know, considering that it doesn't signify you have to kill bad guys, well, you know, it says enemies, but, you know, it doesn't say bad guys are the enemies. You know, so I'm thinking like someone in the Hall of Heroes might actually be a villain of some regards. But, I could be wrong. Whatever. So yeah, you can collect the chalice and just keep it throughout the entire level. I'm not sure whether or not you can actually get it on repeat visits, I think. But I think you're actually just able to keep it and have no particular issues, at least. At least I don't think so. But I think this is actually better than the original, so that way, you know, at least once you find the chalice, you can keep it and you don't have to look for it and go back to it. Instead of, like, having to fill it up first and then going to find it like the original did. So I feel as if this is technically a little bit better, but it's subjective. Like, some people will say, well, it's slightly better, but it'd be better, you know, it makes you feel like more worth it if you find the chalice and then go out of your way and killing it and then coming back for it, like that type of thing. Which I kind of argue is dumb, but okay, look, to say it more clearly, I think it's kind of dumb that you have to go back to find the chalice once you've actually, you know, located it and get to it, to have to go around the stage and kill enemies, then coming back to a certain point, you know, backtracking for the thing. At least I feel that's the case. But I understand some people can find that type of thing fulfilling, so I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in that assessment. I don't know. People can like whatever they like, and it's up to them to how they feel about it. I'm just saying, to me, it's a little bit dumb. Not completely, but just a little bit. Okay. Oh yeah, and okay, now we can talk about the shield. So the shield has a limited amount of uses and can block a certain amount of damage. Once it's done, it's done. You can't use the shield anymore, and you have to replenish it either at gargoyle stands or finding another shield in the level. Which also goes for the club. The club has a certain percentage of use, and if you use it too much on certain objects or enemies... Ooh, oh, right. Right, I forgot I could do that. Then you're kind of, you know, out of luck, and you can't use the club anymore. You have to go out of your way to, what do you call it, replenish it somewhere else. I'm not sure whether or not you can replenish the club in the shop. I don't think you can do that. You have to find clubs in the level. Now, technically speaking, that's bad, but in this, like in the playthrough I played through to test this game out, I didn't have that trouble. Like, I was able to find a good amount of uses for the club, or at least use it to a good degree, and not have it like a situation where I needed a club, so I had to go to a level. The game actually provides you with a good amount of use, places to replenish the club, and you only need to use it a few times. So it's like, it's not too bad. Though, granted, I did have a better weapon to use than the club for bashing boulders, so at least there's that. So, you know, I don't think it's too bad that you have to have a replenishable club you can't buy, and have to find in a level, because I don't use the club too much, so at least there's that. I don't know, I think it's kind of a bit like, it breaks even to where it's kind of just there. What do you got to say?
Beyond these gates lies the exit to this cemetery, but the gates are locked.
Yeah.
You didn't think you'd just breeze on through here, did you? You did? Ha! Oh, my aching sides, ha! Guess again, cranium face. The dreaded glass demon, lord of the hilltop mausoleum, has the key. Go ask him for it, you sap.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, I can't access this part of the level until I get to another level. And there's the gate, by the way, that I have to put the key in. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. I'll get to the issue I have with it in a bit when I explain it. But first, yeah, I slightly cheaped that a bit. Originally, I think you were supposed to do the other way around this, and I'll explain what I mean when you were supposed to do it the other way. First, let's get out of here. Okay. By the way, by the way, if you saw before, killing the little wandering zombie hands in the level with your club or anything that can hit them low enough will just basically make them drop little amounts of gold. It's not 100% needed, but it could be fun somewhat, I guess. I don't know, it's just like a little catharsicism right there for you. But hey, look at that. This was actually the way you were supposed to do it, you know, jump over the fence from that particular point and then just, you know, climb over. But I did it the other way because I wanted to prove I could. I don't know, I thought it was kind of funny. Oh yeah, by the way, be careful of water. Unlike the original game, if you do jump into water, you don't die or lose a full health bottle or full health, but you lose a little bit of health. So at least that's another positive change that they did. So, you know, falling into water is kind of dangerous, so don't fall into it constantly. Do you see what I'm doing there? Because I had that issue throughout, like, my playthrough. I fell into water a good amount of times, or I fell off to my death in certain points. It's kind of annoying, but I was able to get over it.
Evil alert! Evil alert! Zarek's beyond these gates, meeting with the demon from the mausoleum, hatching evil plots, and generally being naughty. If I were a failed one-eyed warrior, I'd make myself scarce, mate.
Yeah, sure, but you're not a one-eyed warrior, so I'm foolishly charging in. Charge!
The Hall of Heroes, where heroes are allowed to store their umbrellas and raincoats.
Welcome, O undernourished one, to the Hall of Heroes, where the bravest warriors from history spend eternity feasting, arm wrestling, and singing out of tune. If they think you're worthy, you may be able to persuade them to give you a new weapon. In your case, you'll be lucky to walk away with a spud gun. Now move it, Twiggy.
To be perfectly fair, a spud gun that was able to be used by a hero would definitely be really powerful. And this is the Hall of Heroes, where you get new weapons from. So at least there's that. Well, yeah, that's something else I didn't really mention, technically speaking. Well, that I can actually talk about now. And I mean that in, like, the first episode I wasn't able to talk about this. The voice acting in this game is technically better than the original, but I know certain people will be like, well, I like the dialogue from the original and the way people talk. Like, for example, the gargoyles spoke in an eerily weird manner and spoke oddly, but they weren't jokingly like these gargoyles are. So, you know, it's a bit of a different sort of take here and there, depending on how you feel about the voice acting in general. To me, the voice acting here is different, and it's more clear and concise and has character, or at least tries to have character and actually has better quality voice acting, so at least there's that. But the original has charm in its ways of voice acting. Like, certain lines I can remember very, very much so because of the over-exaggeration of it. And the voice acting in the original game, I will admit, I don't think is bad. I just think it's a little bit, like, either underutilized or not as clear and concise as it could be. I'm not sure whether or not that makes any sense. It's just differences in opinion. I like the voice acting in the original, I really do. But I think the voice acting here is better by a technical standpoint. So keep that in mind. It's a bit of differences here and there. You'll see when we get to the other more extravagant characters, because the first one kind of just doesn't really, like this guy really doesn't showcase the voice acting at its finest. At least to me, it doesn't, because it feels like it feels like the original, or what they were trying to go for the original, but more refined. And you'll see what I mean. I might do like a voice. I might show like a voice clip of the original one, or a clip from the original game's voice acting to compare. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. It depends on whether or not I remember to do that or not. Sometimes I can forget to do that. But let's see. Yeah, let's go over to talk to this guy, because every single time you enter the Hall of Heroes, you will immediately get a new weapon. So at least there's that. Also, I do want to mention real quick that I think the Hall of Heroes in this game is technically better than the original, at least in design, or at least theming. It's like a weird Cloud City sort of thing, or at least trying to be like a Paradise Above sort of thing. I think it makes more sense, and looks a little bit better than the original's just underground thing. Because, like, literally, the underground, like, thing of the original didn't really feel like a Hall of Heroes. Granted, there's some stuff to it, but it just doesn't feel like an actual Hall of Heroes. Maybe an underground Hall of Heroes, but still, it felt a little bit not too grand. This place, I think, actually does feel grand, so, you know, at least to me, it feels like an actual Hall of Heroes. Especially when the statues come alive. I feel as if that's a lot better than just the statue coming alive, but not really changing much and just having their faces move slightly. And I understand limitations of the time. I understand that. But I think, like the reimagining of this game does the Hall of Heroes better. At least I think that. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Whatever. I think it's a matter of opinion and taste. So anyway, to pay homage to the heroes, stand in front of their statues and await their spiritual guidance. I'm standing. He's not doing anything. No, but you have to stand in front of the heroes that are actually come alive. So at least there's that, distinction. Granted, the original also had a particular distinction of telling you how to tell which hero is, coming alive and wants to give you a weapon. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just saying, like, I like this particular distinction better.
Captain Fortescue, it's me, Canny Tim. Does the battle go well? How I wish I could fight at your side again, sir. But hold, you could take my crossbow. It's got rapid fire and you can ricochet the darts off walls to shoot around corners. I used it at the Battle of Gallowmere. After you were slain, I shot Zarok's champion, Lord Kardok. A clean kill through the eye at some 1,000 yards.
But it does throw you into a cutscene every single time, so...
Captain Fortescue, does the battle go well? A temporary setback, I'm sure, sire. Gosh, they were merry times, slapping our thighs, downing beakers of bitter shandy, and the battles, ooh, they were fun too. How I wish I could help you in some way now. But who?
Yeah.
Oh, you could take my crossbow. I used it at the Battle of Gallowmere. After you were slain, I shot Zarok's champion, Lord Kardok, a clean kill, sir. Right through the eye, at some 300 yards.
Pretty impressive.
Not that there's anything clever about shooting someone in the eye, sir.
So yeah, you got a crossbow. You know what's so great about the crossbow? This thing is literally a machine gun. Yeah, you just saw that. It can rapidly fire multiple crossbows within a second. So yeah, this weapon doesn't have a secondary charge like the daggers do. If I hold down the quick fire button, it just does the rapid fire. But if I hold down the charge button, it launches 3, maybe stronger hitting arrows in a row. Also, just pressing a circle also does that, but it's a quick fire sort of thing. So at least it's like a spread gun. I know I'm wasting ammunition showing this, but I don't care. I will admit, that's also an issue that this Hall of Heroes has for some reason. That it doesn't showcase your health or your ammo count for your weapons. So it's like, oh, how much health do I have? Well, I'm just gonna have to remember it from each stage to stage. And I know that's kind of like easy to do, but at the same time, it's like, you know, a little bit of a HUD system could have been, you know, just put off to the side or something. I don't get why you can't see it in this place. But oh well. Oh yeah, and here's Dan's statue that's almost going to be filled. But at least we'll be able to, you know, have it... it's transparent for now, but as soon as you fill it up more with chalices, you'll be able to see it more... less transparent. So at least there's that. So we'll get to that when we get to that. And I'll see y'all next time in the next video. I just kind of wanted to show off the Hall of Heroes before we end it off. Anyway, guys, I'm Ultrabot Ultimus, still playing MediEvil Resurrection. And I'll see y'all next time in the next video when we continuously play MediEvil Resurrection. I'll see you until then. So take care of my butts. Sayonara.
No, I don't think so.
Shut up, Al. Jesus.